Brand New and It's Already Broken Productions presents. What we are looking at right now is the status page for Moret, which is my primary NAS that you've heard of in previous videos, the one that stores all the installers and things. It's got a problem that I'm going to solve here, and in the process I'm going to change some hardware and also change some software. So the problem is as follows. Some of you might remember that the setup includes 4 hard drives, a boot drive, 2 drives in RAID 1, and then another drive that was used as a backup. Well, if we go ahead and look over here, there's only 3 drives. So the drive I was using as a backup actually is so bad that I had to go into the BIOS and disable it. Otherwise, the system would not complete the power on self-test. Yes, really. It's a Seagate drive, nobody should really be surprised, but as we can see over here, we've got another drive that is starting to have some problems. So I'm going to pull those out, and in the process, I'm going to be replacing the boot drive with an IDE drive, and replacing the motherboard with an Intel board. It's a little bit lower end, it's only a Pentium D as opposed to a Core 2 quad, but I really don't need the Core 2 quad, and I can use that Asus board as a spare for the uploaded YouTube video NAS, which I've affectionately named Bart. Bart is based on the same hardware, so it's the same motherboard and the same CPU, so I'll keep that one as a spare. But I got to get that machine out, so we're going to go ahead over here. And I've already transferred all the data off of it, so we can just go in and shut down. Clear it over there. And we'll go and retrieve it and do some work. Okay, here's the system on the bench. I removed the hard drive cage in preparation to get some of these drives out. I will be removing this IDE drive right here, this SATA drive here, because it's not going to be used any longer. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out this existing P5K SE EPU, put in the I/O shield for the new board, and I have also got my 4-pin power connection over here ready to go. And here we are with the new board, which I'll have to put all the rest of the screws in. It's an Intel motherboard, and ironically enough, it's actually the board I pulled out of this case to begin with. Should have just left it in if I'd known I was going to do this. It's Pentium D 3.2, which, as you can tell, the system seems to think is running hot. No, it wouldn't be too far off. 70 degrees. Wow. Must be, must need the thermal compound redone. These are the 2 drives that were removed from service. This one has the 1 pending sector, so I'll be running HDAT2 on that to see if I can get it to reallocate, which hopefully I can. This one is the one that is so bad it holds down the power on self-test. So I'm not even going to bother with this one. Well, I might if I have a sufficient leave of my senses, but probably not going to worry too much about it. This is the drive I'm going to be installing here to replace this one. This one is not going to be getting a replacement, but this one's going to go in there, and then the boot drive will be this Samsung 80 gigabyte hard drive here, which I believe actually has fluid bearings. Slight change of plan. I will not be using this drive for what has now become very obvious reasons. Isn't that nice? I have no idea how that happened. So here comes the next step. It actually supports RAID 5. I didn't think it did. I want a RAID 1 auto configuration. Yes. Shouldn't really need anything more than that. Fan speed control seems to be completely useless on this thing. And just like every other project, there's always a snag. Rockstar apparently doesn't like this system. I tried several different times to get it to boot, and it didn't work properly. So, back to the old way of doing things. Obviously, as you can see, we have no network interfaces. So, way to fix that. Or sorry, it's OMV First Aid. configure network interfaces, configure network interface. We only get one. It says there was an error. I don't believe that for half a second. So we'll give it a try. Of course, the important thing now is I'm going to come in here, grab the MAC address, go over to the DHCP server. That is this one. And change it to the new one. Go ahead and apply the changes. And then I'm going to power this back up because I've made some hardware changes. Since I'm going to be with Open Media Vault, I decided to reinstall the backup drive. Just because, again, I'm using older drives, so it makes sense to do it this way. Some point down the road I may upgrade it to 500 gigs, just so that way finding new drives, because you can't buy 250 gig drives anymore. But that way, I'm not stuck on the off chance that I need to get another drive. So I'm going to actually do a trial here. I'll power it up without the monitor, keyboard, and mouse attached. Just because that's the situation it's going to be in. Okay, it's telling me the configuration has changed. Sure. I don't know what it did. Okay, I don't know what that was all about. Should be no updates available. We go over to disks. I hope none of these have any problems. I don't remember which one the new one was. I'll probably find that there's... Okay, nope. There is not. So we will go ahead and toggle it for both of those. Yes, please do. I'll apply. I love how both of the drives are showing up separately. They're not supposed to be. Because that is a thing that I'm going to have to do. So whatever, hardware raid was a bust because it doesn't seem to work properly. Now the project is about wrapped up. Here it is in its new permanent home. And I am transferring data to it right now because I made a mistake. I did some reconfiguring. I decided not to use the hardware RAID, but I then went and moved the hard drives over to the regular SATA ports, and that screwed up the order in which the drives were showing up, so it screwed up during startup, and I just deleted everything and started again. So now I gotta transfer all the data back to it, which hopefully won't be too difficult. Close that door up, come over here, and we can see that our transfer is underway. Probably not as fast as I'd like it to be, but it's chugging along. It's not doing too bad, really, all things considered. See, it's working just fine. And if I wanted to upgrade it to 8 gigs of RAM at some point, it'd be easier to do that because it's got 4 gigs and 2 modules right now. But the old one was saturated with... Actually, no, the old one was set up the same way. But this has better memory on it. I think this memory is probably a little bit... It's a little more overclockable, which basically means for me, I'm not going to be doing any overclocking on it, but it means that it's a little bit more reliable at stock speed. So, but I think that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off, and hope to see you next time. Till then...